Today we are talking about your basic strokes for lettering and modern calligraphy script. How are you going to make them look beautiful, and what are the tricks that you should know? If you haven't yet been able to see the video all about your upstrokes and downstrokes, make sure that you watch it right here, also linked in the description down below this video. My name is Arneill and I teach hand lettering and art here on YouTube and also on my own platform, amandaarneill.com, with full online courses. And this is part of one of my courses. This is part of Let's Start Lettering, because I want you to be able to have absolutely gorgeous lettering and be able to start lettering. So like I said, upstrokes and downstrokes are your foundation. Make sure you've watched that one. Otherwise, let's dive into looking at today's strokes. Today we're looking at your transition from your upstroke to your downstroke and vice versa. So technically the strokes we're talking about today are an overturn and an underturn. And I like to call those ceiling strokes and basement strokes because that way I can actually remember it. So ceiling stroke is your overturn and a basement stroke is your underturn because you're going down into the basement or you're hitting the ceiling. I want to talk today about the 3 things you need to keep in mind when you are doing both of these strokes. The first thing you want to keep in mind is that there should be a big difference between your upstroke and your downstroke. Your upstroke should look like just an upstroke. Your downstroke should look like just a downstroke. Those two have quite a bit of contrast and they should look different from one another. The same is true in your basement stroke or your underturn, where your downstroke should look like a downstroke and your upstroke should look like an upstroke. There should be a lot of contrast between the two. The second thing that I want you to notice is where the transition from upstroke to downstroke actually happens. It is happening right at the top, so at 12 o'clock or at 6 o'clock, right at the very bottom. On the one side, it's thicker, and the other side, it's upstroke thickness. That can be easier said than done and is something that you always are going to want to work towards, especially making sure that you don't have any pressure coming up into your upstroke. All of the pressure should be off by the bottom so that you go down, take all the pressure off your stroke, and then come right back up with that nice thin upstroke. If you have difficulty with this, think about bringing the pressure off about here in your letter, and that overcorrection will typically pull it back to being right in the middle. Your third thing that you want to keep in mind is to make sure that your curve is smooth on both the inside of your transition space and the outside of your transition space, so that you have a smooth curve out there and a smooth curve on the inside. Let's look at what I mean by that. Sometimes if you put your pressure on too quickly, you can end up with a point on the inside or outside instead of a curve. And if you take your pressure off too quickly, you can end up with that same sort of thing. Or instead of slowly tapering off your pressure, you're just lifting up to the tip of the pen. That will stop you from having a smooth transition. So instead, make sure that your transition is slow and you're slowly adding all that pressure on, or slowly taking all of your pressure off, so that by the time you hit that top or bottom point, there's no pressure left in your pen. So when you're doing these strokes, those are the 3 things that you want to look for. If you want to dive even deeper into how to do all of these and all of the rest of your lettering strokes, definitely check out my Let's Start Lettering basic course. That is linked down below, and that is the foundation for all of your lettering. Having a strong foundation means that you can always build off of that.